Starliner Media. Starliner Media presents Music Night at the Majestic with your host, Michael Boswell. Brought to you by...
When Signs and Displays Direct was launched 15 years ago, it featured a complete line of banners and stands, product displays, and more. Today, the company is known as SDD and is the industry leader in turnkey, no-inventory POP programs. SDD has expanded into branding programs for both corporate and private label, as well as consulting services for retail showroom design and more. Visit sdd-us.com. That's sdd-us.com. All right, time once again for Music Night at the Majestic. And with me tonight, Joey Molland of Badfinger. Joey, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael. Good to be here.
Tell you what, very excited. We told folks that you were going to be on the show, and we got some questions from viewers, for you.
Nice.
One of the things that we do on the show is we talk about classic rock and roll records.
Yeah.
So if I say... Elvis, blue suede shoes. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
That's the day I decided to become a guitar player. When I heard Elvis, blue suede shoes, I can remember it. I was 11 years old in the back kitchen of our house in Liverpool, and the DJ on the radio said, and now here's a new single, or a new record, they just used to call it, from American Elvis Presley, and it's a song called Blue Suede Shoes. And man, it came on the radio, and it was like Elvis was in my sitting room in the kitchen with me. The sound of his voice was like magic. Now, I was a normal kid then, making bows and arrows and spears and everything, like a normal kid. And but right after that, man, I went in the front parlour and got my brother's guitar out. And I mean, right away, I went in there and got the guitar out and started to find out how to play it. Boy, that was such a great record. Go listen to it right now if you've got it, everybody. Or when we're done with the interview here. but it's just a fantastic record.
Tell you what, Scotty Moore's guitar playing.
Woo! Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable player.
Now, you started playing at 11. What was the first band that you were in?
I joined a band at school. We were called the Assassins, and we were all about 13, I think, then, maybe 14. We never really played anywhere. We played at the school. They'd have like little school concert kind of thing, and we'd play like Shazam, the Dwayne Eddy thing, and stuff like that. Some Buddy Holly songs, and yeah.
You got to have Buddy Holly in there.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Everybody learn his songs. All you guitar players, go ahead, learn how to make up guitar solos. You learn that from Buddy Holly.
Now, what's your favorite Buddy Holly song?
Ooh, I've got loads of them, man. Crying Waiting Open. Not Fade Away, True Love Ways. True Love Ways is unbelievable. And all your Peggy Sue got married. It's So Easy. Oh Boy, Maybe Baby. I mean, how many of them do you want to get? Rave On. Just incredible, man.
I can listen to Buddy Holly all day, every day, and be quite happy.
Yeah, he was superb. Great singer, great little band. All these original ideas of playing the guitar, he was superb, just superb.
Yeah. Now, one of your later bands, the Masterminds.
Yep.
Now, you guys actually did a record with Andrew Loog Oldham.
We did, yeah.
Stones.
Yeah.
What was that like?
We did, it was a real thrill for us. It was our first record, my first recording experience in a real studio. We did that at Regent Sound on Denmark Street in London, where the Rolling Stones had done their first album, I think. Just great, man. And to hear the band, the first time you hear your band coming out of the studio speakers, and it sounds like somebody else. You can't believe that you sound that good. I mean, they make you sound great. So it was a big thrill for us, man, nothing less. You know, a couple of months later or a month later, we did the Ready, Steady, Go TV show, which was like the biggest kind of rock and roll, you know, pop music show on BBC.
Right.
And, or maybe it was on ITV, but it was live. It was actual live TV. And live TV, you can feel the camera. You know what I mean? It feels like something touching you. It's really weird. And we were all about 17 now, maybe 18, I don't know, but just great. Just great.
Now, how long after the Masterminds did you join the Ivies? And how did you come to join the Ivies?
It was about 3 or 4 years after the Masterminds. What happened was a friend of mine from Liverpool, Billy Kinsley, he was working at Apple. He was a great friend of the Beatles. He knew the Beatles. He played in the Merseybeats, a Liverpool band. Mm-hmm. And I'd actually bought my Firebird from Billy, my guitar. But anyway, he heard about the Ivies bass player leaving. And he was a bass player himself. He went for the job as the bass player. But they told him they were looking for a guitar player now. Tommy had decided he'd play bass. And so he suggested me get this guy, Joey Molland. And I came down and auditioned, you know, cut a long story short. Like, I came down and auditioned and they gave me the job. So all of a sudden I was in the Ivies. And then that day or a couple of days later, they changed the name to Badfinger. So I was in Badfinger. And Come and Get It came out then. Yeah.
Now tell me this. I've heard a lot of different stories on the origin of the name Badfinger. How did the band actually get the name?
Should I make something up? No. Neil Aspinall suggested it. If people don't know Neil ran Apple Records. He was the Beatles roadie, along with Mal Evans. They were the two roadies for the Beatles. And during the recording of, I think, Abbey Road or something, no, what am I talking about? Sgt. Pepper, get by with a little help from my friends. John played piano on the demo for it, and they called it Badfinger Boogie, because John wasn't the greatest pianist in the world, so that's what they called it, and that's where the name came from, Badfinger Boogie. And it was Neil who suggested it. What about Badfinger? So there you go. That's the real story.
Gotcha. Now, what was the atmosphere like at Apple?
It was very exciting, for a guy like me coming in from the outside like that. It was very exciting, but I had the feeling that everybody there was really excited about being involved in any way with Apple Records, because it was owned by the Beatles and run by the Beatles. It was run according to their rules, you know. It was great. It was a great place. The secretaries were lovely. The press office upstairs, Derek Taylor and Richard DeLillo, the house hippie. And Neil's office upstairs, he had the Plastic Ono band standing in the window with the video camera shining on the street, you know. So they had the Plastic Ono band watching the whale go by. And we used to go up to Neil's office and watch Beatle movies, you know, because he was a big film buff. And he'd film all the Beatle concerts that they played. And so he'd play them to us when we went up there. It was great. And they were really good, man. Derek was really funny. You know, it was a knockout place. It really was. You see the Rolling Stones come in. You know, people like that would come walking through the hallway, like, you know. It was really something.
Tell me this. What's like, you know, when you think back, like what's, you know, a couple of the things that happened that have stuck with you the most? That you remember seeing or experiencing? You know,
for one, I can remember seeing John Lennon come in the front door of Apple. I've never met him. Had a great love for him and his music. And he come walking in the front door in that big fair coat, you know. And I felt like the room was getting warmer. I don't know whether it actually was, but it felt like the room was getting warmer or something. And so that's one of my great memories, just seeing John Lennon live across the room. And then, of course, the Beatles Sessions, George's Sessions. You know, there was Ringo, there was Eric Clapton, there was Billy Preston, Alan White was there, Klaus Voormann was there, Phil Spector was in the control room. You know, it's extraordinary, you know, really. Same with John, you know, Nicky Hopkins was there, Jim Keltner was there, Klaus was there again, George Harrison was in the control room, and there again was Phil Spector. Met Yoko that night. She was really lovely. We're kind of worried about that because, you know, you'd hear things, but she was a sweetheart, man. I can't tell you any difference. She was a sweetheart, you know. And John was great, of course. Just totally normal. George was the same. They were really normal. They weren't rock stars. They were, you know, they were like, all right, how are you? You know, thanks for coming. You know, they were dead regular. So I really enjoyed it. They're the most fun memories. Going to the Albert Hall with George and Eric Clapton to see the band. What a great night. There were a lot of other things went on. I saw Sly and the Family Stone at that time as well. And Grand Funk Railroad at the Albert Hall, they were knockout too. Chicago, sat on the stage at the Chicago concert. Okay. They were tremendous, man. I know they're not all Beatles stories, but there's other things, you know. I played, I don't know, 40 or 50, maybe 60 shows opening up for The Who when I was about 18, 19. And The Who were one of the greatest bands on the planet. On the planet. I'm on the planet, you know. and I'm talking live here. I'm talking live. I'm talking 3-4 part harmony. I'm talking The Who, scaring people. They were so good, man. Anyway, nights like that, you know, were unbelievable. Saw Ray Charles with his orchestra. Just incredible. I saw the Beatles at the NME concert. Where, you know, they were the #1 band in the world by now. Mm-hmm. And they came on, man. You know, they were unshaven, they weren't all cleaned up like they normally were. They had the suits on and everything, but you could tell they'd just driven down from their house. You know what I mean? And they were, oh man, they started with I'm Down. I'm telling you, man, that's something to see, the Beatles with I'm Down. And you have one of those crap PAs, you know, those big arena PAs, and the crowd going crazy, stamping their feet like this. And it's an ice hockey arena, so it's really loud, but you could still hear Paul going, you tell me I'm thinking, you know, doing that. They were fantastic. It was a fantastic night. The Who were on. That's how I got in the show, really. The Who's manager, Kit Lambert, he got us good seats, you know. Right down in the front, so it was great, man. Just knockout.
Yeah, I would think. Now, I'll tell you what, getting into some Badfinger songs, because our viewers were very curious about the stories behind the songs.
Yeah.
So now, Kevin in Tennessee wants to know the story behind Come and Get It.
Come and Get It, Paul wrote for the Ringo Starr movie, Magic Christian, which was going to be coming out, I guess, next year, you know, like in terms of the time back then. One of the Badfinger band did that interview in the English paper, and they asked him what it was like working with the Beatles. And he said, well, it hasn't really done us a lot of good, meaning that they hadn't had a successful record yet. You know, I suppose, you know, I don't know, but that's what he said. And Paul read that in the paper, and he was bothered by it. So the next day, he took the tape of Come Get It around to the Ivy's house, knocked on the door, and, you know, and of course, you know, when Paul was at the door, you know, they all came down, and Paul shouted at them that he was going to give them this song. And they were going to learn it exactly like it was on this tape. Don't mess around with it. This is how it goes. Learn it like this. And if you do it good, I'll come over next week, take it in the studio and record it with you. I'll produce it for you, and it'll be your first hit record. Don't mess around with it. Do it just like this. And he was as good as his word. The Beatles, I mean, they did. The Ivies, they went in and learned that song just like that demo. And he took them in the studio. He lined them all up against the wall, is what they told me. And he made them all sing it, one at a time. And he picked Tommy's voice as the best sounding one. Said, right, you'll sing it. And the other guys all chipped in with the harmonies and that. But there it is. And he produced it. And of course, Ron left the band about a month later. Even after they'd recorded Come and Get It, he left the band, so they started looking for a bass player, and that's the story I told you, my mate, or I just told James. My mate went for the job as the bass player. They told him they weren't going to have a bass player. Tommy was going to play bass. So, do you know any guitar players? And he said, yeah, get this guy Joey Molland. And he recommended me for the job. So I came in and joined them. And about a month later or something, I don't know, I can't remember exactly when the record came out, but I joined them in like October, November. And the record came out a month, maybe 2 months later. And my name's on the album and all that, but I wasn't on the record or anything. But of course it did come out and it was a big giant hit. It was Badfinger's first big hit record. And I was definitely in Badfinger, so that was okay.
Tell me this, how involved were the Beatles in those early Badfinger records?
They weren't involved at all, really, other than having to listen to them, I suppose. Deciding if they liked them enough to put them out. But they weren't coming to the sessions and everything and singing along with us or anything like that. As far as I knew, they weren't really involved. Paul, of course, was involved in the Come and Get It, but I didn't see Paul after I joined the band. I never saw Paul around the band. Never. I never met him, and that's why people say to me, "What's Paul like?" And I don't really know. I suppose he's a great guy, but what the hell do I know about him?
Well, tell you what, Faye in New Jersey wants to know all about No Matter What.
Wow. I don't know about No Matter What. No Matter What Pete had. When I joined the band, I believe he already had No Matter What. And it was actually the first song that we recorded. Let me just rack my brain and see if he did tell me about it. But I don't think so. I don't think he actually told us about what the song was about. It wasn't something we really discussed. What songs? Yeah, we wrote the songs, and then although I know he wrote Baby Blue, and I suppose somebody asked about that too, but I don't want to tell that until you get to the question.
Yeah, well,
yeah. But so I'm sorry, love. I don't really know a lot about that. Maybe is it in Matavina's book? Is there
it might be.
Yeah, because I don't recall him telling anybody what that was about. But he might have told his girl or something. I don't know. His girl might have known. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Now, Jimmy in North Carolina, he's got a question. It's actually a two-part question about Day After Day.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know if George played slide on that track.
Okay, the song is about, I think it's about Peter's girlfriend, Beverly. Really, I remember finding out about you all day after day. I think he wanted to come back. I think so. I'm only thinking this. I get confused with that. Me being an old man,
You're not older, Joey. You're better.
I know Without You was definitely about Bev Ellis, his girlfriend. And Pete tended to write about his girlfriends. So that's why I kind of weighed that in there. George did play slide on it. Pete and I were working the slide bits out, and George came in, and I don't think he could stand not playing, so he came in the studio. Oh, can I play the guitar? Do you mind if I play? I mean, imagine that. I took my guitar off right away and gave it him. I had a Fender Strat I was playing, and George just took it off me and started to do the slide with Peter, and they worked on it for hours. But in answer to your question, he played on it. He insisted that they play it together as well, not do one slide part and then the other. You know, both slide parts were done together at the same time on the same track. Really a great achievement, but that's why it took so long, because they were trying to get those slide notes right on, and slide notes are a little bit iffy, you know.
I was just going to say, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, right on, yeah.
Yeah.
Took a few hours, 3-4 hours even. I had a nice day off in the studio. Not bad. Not bad. Can do it again.
I'll tell you what, you mentioned Baby Blue. Now, Joanne in Illinois, actually, she's got another one with a two-part question. She want to know the story behind it, and then also, what was it like when all those years later they use that in the TV series Breaking Bad, and it becomes a hit again?
Oh, we're talking about Baby Blue here, yeah.
Baby Blue, yeah.
Baby Blue. He wrote that about a girl named Dixie. You heard it at the end of the song, My Dixie Dear. She came over to live with Peter, but I think she found out that the life that he lived wasn't really suited for her. She expected to spend a lot more time with him, and Pete was working all the time. We were really busy, making records, writing songs, making demos, rehearsing, taking photos, doing interviews. All the normal things that a rock band does when they get somewhere.
Right.
And so I think she was a little bit upset about that and really didn't like the idea of being in England by herself. She ended up going back to Arizona, which is where he met her. And that was the last they saw of each other, really. I've heard from her since. I think she lives in Ohio now.
Okay.
Got in touch with her a while ago, and just to say hello, really, and see how she was doing. She was really nice, and she's done okay. She's happy, and that's about that, really. When they used the song in Breaking Bad, and I love that song, incidentally. I think it's probably my favourite Badfinger single, at least. And we always start the show with it. What a great tune. Anyway, I was recording Breaking Bad for my son, Sean. He was a big Breaking Bad fan. And I was really surprised. I didn't know anything about it. And there are reasons for that, of course. The Hammer State controls the copyrights for those songs because Peter passed away and the copyright reverts to the family. So they made those arrangements, but they didn't tell me. I don't know if they told any of the rest of the band, but I didn't know anything about it. So I was made up. I was really surprised. I knew how big the series was, and it was incredible. We made some money, a little bit, and of course it got to be a #1 record again, and the shows started to sell out, so it was a big deal for us playing shows at the time. It's a great song. They used it in The Departed as well, the Scorsese movie. That reminded me of how good a rock record it is, because it comes in on Mike's drum fill in there, which is tremendous, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a great little song, great for a beat group to do. You can do it with a 4-piece band, and it sounds just like the record, you know. It really does. So I love that about it. When we did Day After Day, which was the band, we played the basic track, but then we overdubbed all sorts of acoustics and oohs and ahs, and Leon came and played piano for us, Leon Russell, and stuff like that. And when you go on stage, you can't do the song on stage like the record. You can just kind of do this group version. And we felt weird going on and playing on like that. So we didn't do it day after day very often in concert. The original band I'm talking about. And so that was what was great about Baby Blue. And no matter what, I might say, we could actually play those songs live and sound like the record, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Joey, you mentioned John earlier. What was it like working with him?
With John Lennon?
Yes.
John was a pleasure. Like I say, he was like a normal bloke, really, except he was John Lennon, of course, but he seemed like a normal fella to me, a normal guy from Liverpool. He talked like that. He spoke in really plain English, if you know what I mean. He was great to work with. He made it easy. He knew his song. He knew the words. He knew them in his head. He didn't have song lyrics. I've heard that he never used song lyrics. He never had them read out. He carried it all in his head. He was great. He didn't tell us what to play. He told us how he'd like us to play. And they didn't want us to screw around. Neither he nor George wanted us to screw around and be putting jingly bits where there were no jingly bits. Keep it straight. And he told the drummer the same thing. Klaus knew to play like that with him. He asked Nicky Hopkins, can he make up an intro for us? And of course, Nicky was a genius, so yeah, it was really simple, really easy to record with him. There was no weird stuff going on, and nobody was getting loaded up or nothing, or boozing it up or nothing. This was a record session, man. We're making records here,
Well, tell me this, Joey. What's the most memorable thing when you were playing on the Imagine album?
John Lennon singing Jealous Guy was absolutely extraordinary to experience him sitting there, like 4 feet away, playing his acoustic and singing the song to you. Really, doesn't get much better than that.
I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think.
No, I don't think so. Of course, it was extraordinary to me.
Yeah. Now you also played George's "All Things Must Pass."
Yeah.
Now, what memories do you have of playing on that record?
I've got a big bunch of we played on the entire record. What was that, 15, 20 songs? And we played those acoustics on everything. I remember doing My Sweet Lord. All those guitars at the front of us, ding, ding, all that. And then I remember Eric Clapton practicing the slide bit while we were doing those things. And you hear that, and there'd be a bum note, and stuff like that, as he was working the parts out. I remember those things. I remember Ringo being really consistent. Super. Once the groove was set, that was the end of it. The fills were there, just great. I remember Billy Preston looking up and smiling at us. And Billy had that wonderful God-given smile, that lit the room up, which doesn't sound like much, but there it was, Billy Preston looking up and smiling at you. I'm playing with the guys, being with Tommy and Pete in the box, looking at each other, just digging it, you know what I mean? Keeping it as solid as we could, you know what I mean? Playing them acoustics. Just having a great time. And then going in the control room and Phil Spector playing us the back, playing us the track we'd just done. And he'd always have the echoes on and some of the rough vocal in, so you'd really get an idea of what was going to happen with the record. It was great. I keep saying it was knockout, but it really was. You went home with your mind full of all these memories all spinning. And then now we'd go and get Indian food at the end of the day. And we'd have a big plate of Indian. Yeah, it was knockout. It was great, man. Nothing less than great, Eric bringing guitars in that he just got. He just had this Big Bill Brunzi had a special guitar. And Eric had one made for himself. And I remember him bringing it in the studio and just being made up with it. Look at this. I just got this. He just showed it off. Just lovely stuff like that. Normal, really normal stuff. You know what I mean? Have you got any picks? Have you got any strings? All the normal muso questions. Where'd you get those shoes? That's great.
Tell me this. How was it, since you were on both those historic albums, how was working with George different than working with John? Were they different stylistically? Were they different in their approach?
The songs were different. No, I think they were very similar. George had this way, he'd come over and play the song to you and sing it to you and go over the chords with you. But he'd expect you to learn it really pretty quick. I'm sure John was the same. He played us the song Jealous Guy, played it us maybe twice. We had to know it by the end of that, you know what I mean? So, but really, they both came with their songs ready. They both knew what they wanted. They didn't shout at anybody. They didn't bitch at anybody. They just said, this is the song, it's called Jealous Guy, and it goes like this. George, this is the song, it's called Beware the Darkness, and it goes like this. And he'd sit and play it. And you'd sit and kind of play it with him a bit, you know what I mean, and get those changes. And away you went. You did the songs, the ones that had to practice. I don't know, Klaus must have spent time with George and with John, because he knew the songs really pretty well when he started playing. And it's different working out rhythm guitar for a song and playing a bass part for a song. You know what I mean? So he must have had a bit more rehearsal than we did, but that was generally the approach on those sessions that we did. They were very, very down, very tight, very focused. They'd sing a bit of a rough vocal, and George would go in the control room though and listen to us play it, and John would stay in the studio and play it with us. That was the way that was.
Gotcha. Now with George, you also played at the Concert for Bagladesh.
Yeah.
You've got to have some fantastic memories of that.
For sure. We started with getting asked, we were honoured. And then he said, we'll get you some airfare and a hotel like over there, but there's no money. Okay. So they flew us over to New York and we rehearsed at the Steinway building. There's a rehearsal room upstairs there. And we rehearsed in there with Ringo and George, Klaus Voormann, and I think Billy came on maybe he came on the first day, but there was only us. I mean, when I say us, Badfinger, and those guys, George, Ringo, Klaus, and Billy. So there were 8 of us in the room learning those rhythm beds again. And when we got those tight, and we spent the week running through those songs, nobody else came in. On Saturday, we started on the Monday, worked until the Friday, and then on Saturday we went to Madison Square Garden, set up on the stage and did dress rehearsals. And we must have rehearsed for maybe 3 hours that day, 2-3 hours. All the singers came, the backup singers, and there were loads of them. I can't even remember all the names. Don Nix was there. I remember him because he wrote I'm Going Down. You know that song? He wrote that. You know what I mean? So there was all these people like that there. Mm-hmm. The station was, the stage was set. Eric showed up on the Saturday. We were kind of worried about Eric coming because he was supposed to come to the rehearsals and run those guitar parts with us, but it never happened. He came to the dress rehearsal. He was fine anyway. He's had it clocked, didn't he? And Leon and his band showed up, the Shelter people. Jim Horn with all the horn players came to the dress rehearsal. Ravi Shankar, all these people. We all got our stage set right, And George had asked Peter to learn Here Comes the Sun. I was really glad he didn't ask me, Wow. I had a couple of reasons for that, but I was really glad. And So that was a nice thing to see. Pete playing, and Pete got it perfect too. So it was great. Bob Dylan came that day to Madison Square Garden. We'd all finished. It was funny. We're all sitting in the rehearsal in the hall, Madison Square Garden. We're all sitting out in the audience, just really waiting for the cars and stuff. And Bob Dylan walked on stage with his guitar and his harmonica. And George and Leon and Ringo, I think, legged on down the stage. And Bob was running through songs. Ain't no use sitting wondering why, babe. All that was unbelievable. Like a private Bob Dylan concert. And of course, we'd never seen him. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. And Bob Dylan, And anyway, the guys ran up on stage with them, and they quick, who's going to sing what, who's going to do what. And they worked out a little set for him to do during the show. And, I've been hearing lately that before Bob showed up, there was a story about Badfinger going to play a song. People have been mentioning that to me. I never heard anything about that until now. I never heard about it at the show. I never heard any. So I've got to believe that it wasn't really happening. It's just something people have got it together to do some kind of add flowers to the story or something. But I never heard anything about it. I did hear when Ringo went to get the Grammy Awards for Bangladesh, there was one awarded for Badfinger. But we never got one. We never got it. So I don't know where our Grammy is. The Academy did give us sheets, certificates, saying that we got a Grammy, but we never actually got the Grammys, which was really a bummer, But remember, Ringo came out with a tray of Grammys for all, for Leon Russell, Ringo, everybody got one. And he said Badfinger. Ringo said Badfinger, but there wasn't one for Badfinger. So
I think you need to call the Grammy folks and say, "Hey, I'm owed something here."
Yeah, we should sue them. I could have put that on my bio.
Well, tell you what. Talk about concerts. Now, you did a tour last year that had Mickey Dolenz on there, and Jason Sheff, Gary Burr, where you did the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. Christopher Cross.
Tell us about that.
Todd Rundgren was on it. Yeah. There were 5 of us. Yeah, the Chris. Anyway, it was an album or a tour. The show was based around the Beatles White Album, because it was like 50 years ago or something they made it, or it came out. And so we got a bunch of those songs down. We didn't do all of it, but we did everything really, except number 9 and Cry Baby Cry, I think. And we all did different songs. It was a lot of fun. It was great fun. It was great to get to know Christopher Cross. Great to get to know Mickey Dolenz, and even Todd. Although I'd known Todd from the past. He produced Day After Day, Baby Blue, and all that. And actually on that show, the 50 years ago today show it was called, Todd and I did Baby Blue. But it was a great show. The audience loved it, because how often do you hear bands do the White Album, and a lot of great songs on there. So we had a lot of fun rehearsing and playing, did the shows, sold them out all over the place. The audience really enjoyed it. I'm sure there are loads of films of it. And it's been on telly a couple of times, different things, been on the internet. It was great fun, and we were actually going to do some more this year. We're thinking about doing a different record. But COVID came, so we couldn't do it. But I think we'll do some more next year if it goes away. If COVID ever goes away, it might never go away. Who knows? I think it will, but
At the very least, we can hope.
We can hope, yes.
Yeah. Now, to try to tie everything together here, a couple of the guys that were on the 50 Years Ago Today tour worked with you on your new album.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah, they came down and sang with me. Mickey Dolenz came, sang on 3 or 4 of the songs. Jason Sheff came. What a fantastic singer. Singing those high harmonies on Rainy Day Man and all that. Just great. Julian Lennon came. And I'd only met Julian maybe a couple of times. But Mark called him, said, we're doing a new Joey Molland record. Do you want to come and sing a bit? And he said, yeah. He was a Badfinger fan, you know. He loved Badfinger. So, yeah, he came down and sang with me as well. Lovely, lovely man. And what a great singer. I've got pictures of him singing around the mic, but he's really putting it out. You know what I mean? He's really singing out. And it's great to see the energy and the effort. Learning the words, learning the phrasing, learning the harmony, and then singing it, performing it for you. A lot of difference between singing and performing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to put that into the record, you've got to bring a record to life, you know. It's not enough just to record the song. You've got to bring it to life on the record. So all of that stuff, watching it all go down, it's really a magic thing. I got to tell you, the musos that came, just incredible. Steve Holly playing drums, just great. Jay Shepherd playing guitar, rock and roll guitar for me. He was fabulous. Paul Santos playing guitar, Benny Harrison playing keyboards. They were just great, man. I mean, really, really great. I love them all. Super, you know. Yeah. Wish we could make millions of dollars and throw a bit of dough their way, you know, because everybody did it really for nothing. You know what I mean? Because it's expensive to record just to go in the studio, but the guys all came, they were great, man.
That's quite a compliment, Joey.
Yeah, they're superb, you know. Yeah, it is. Hell of a thing for me, you know.
Well, yeah. You mentioned Julian. The front and back covers of Be True to Yourself are his photos, correct?
That's right, yeah. Mark Hudson saw the photos. He's very aware of Julian's career as a photographer, and he recommended to me that we should try and get this photo, the front cover, for the cover of the album. So we got in touch with Julian, we asked him, and he was cool about it. Yeah, good. And of course, I neglected to get in touch with his office, his managers and everything, so kind of screwed that up, but.
I'll tell you what, the album, for anybody who's not heard it, you are that rare artist, Joey, where to me, this is, This Way Up and Be True to Yourself, I think are your 2 best albums.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
And usually, the later career albums, a lot of times, tend to, pale to earlier works. For you, though, this album sounds so fresh. It's definitely, it's you, but you can hear, it's like Badfinger, but it's like a current Badfinger record. And the thing that strikes me on it is the sheer joy that you hear, whether it's you in your, or whether it's the folks singing harmony, on it. But I mean, the record is just a fun, happy record.
That's amazing, isn't it? Really, it turned out like that. I was astounded to get the chance actually to make a new record. I'm really getting quite old now, so I was surprised. I had a bunch of songs because, I'm a songwriter, and songwriters don't stop writing songs because they're getting a bit old. So I had a bunch of songs. I was really, really excited about a real producer coming aboard, and that real producer was Mark Hudson, of course, and he's a brilliant record producer. I can't say enough about him. He put so much of himself into the songs and into the record, via choruses and bridges and just ideas, backing vocal ideas, production ideas. He worked for almost 2 years on this record.
Oh, wow.
When I wasn't working on it, he'd be going and doing an ooh and an ah there, or, a vocal in there, or fiddling with the guitar part, that we'd recorded, doing stuff to it, and just making the whole thing come together like a big recipe, Yeah. And he wanted to make a record, and Mark likes to make hit records. He doesn't like to make records just for the sake of them. He likes everybody to like them. And so he really put his heart and soul into it. And I was happy to see him do it. And I thank God that he did, because half of the things you're saying about this record, about it being happy and exciting or sounding great, or people are loving it. It's almost like 100%. All the reviews have been super. All of them. Not like most of them. All of them. All over the world. Everybody that I play the record to says, oh, I like this, or I like that, It's something else. So I'm really excited. I'm really very happy. And I want to thank Mark and all the musicians, man, for coming and singing and playing with me. Really, really needed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And love you all for doing it. Thank you so much. And all the people are going, yeah, it's a great record. So you guys all were on a great record.
Well, I'll tell you, the album opens with the song This Time.
Yeah.
And there's some really nice guitar work on that track.
Yeah. We played the guitars. We did all that. It's all live. It's all continuous. It's all continuous tracks. There's no splicing tracks together or cut and paste, anything like that. We learned the song and played it live. We overdubbed the horn sections, of course, but they're real horn sections. We overdubbed the strings, they're real strings. The pianos are real pianos. So it was just a really great experience doing it. It was lovely,
Well, I'll tell you, you mentioned the horns in keyboards. That's the thing on the second song, Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It really jumped out at me.
Yeah. Really good. All the songs are about that. I got to say that all of the ideas except Rainy Day Man came from my songs. Mark, of course, stuck a chorus in there or a bridge in there. He did what a producer does. But I got to say that because all the songs are credited, obviously, to myself, to Mark Hudson, 9 of them, and one of them has Gary Bear, because he sent us the idea for Rainy Day Man, so.
Gotcha.
What a great idea. What a great idea he sent. Man.
Well, I'll tell you what, there is one track on there, I Don't Want to Be Done With You. And for me, you out McCartney
Wow.
on that track. That is a song that, it's clearly, a Joey song, but the song itself, I'm sure Paul, if he hasn't heard it, when he does, he's going to wish that he would have been the one to write it and record.
You know what I mean? You're talking about Paul McCartney here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's how good I think that song is.
I should go, well, that's a great compliment to me. I don't know whether it's a compliment to Paul, but it's a great compliment to me.
Well, if he asks me, I will tell him it is. I don't think he's going to be asking me, though, just to warn you.
Well, if he asks me, I'm going to say, I didn't say that.
It was that dolt on that music night show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A few people have said that about it and about the songs. You just do your best, don't you? You know what I mean? You write your best. Of course, I'm influenced by Paul McCartney and all those guys, John Lennon, all of them, all the way back to, Cole Porter and those guys. But all those influences come out. That's what we are. We're sponges. And we give ourselves a squeeze, and that's what comes out.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then one last track on Be True to Yourself, Shine. That's another one where the guitar work is really nice.
Oh, yeah. Shine, I wrote that in like 1971.
Oh, wow.
And we actually did that song with Badfinger. We did a version of it for the Straight Up album. And but it was one of the ones that the Apple didn't like. Apple in New York, I should add. But they didn't like them. And so that's why we had to go back in with George and re-record the whole album. But yeah, I wrote that song back then, and I was really happy to do it. We tried to do it in Badfinger, but we couldn't quite get the time change in it. We couldn't quite grab it, you know. It was Pete who suggested Shine in terms of a lyric. I had the rest of the words. And anyway, I tried to give him credit on my record, but they wouldn't let me.
Wow.
They wouldn't let me. It's kind of weird, that, isn't it? But that's the truth of that.
Yeah,
I don't want people coming along and saying, why didn't you give Pete credit? You know, I tried to give him credit, man. You know, maybe they thought I was trying to cash in on him or something. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, you know what? Record companies can be strange.
You know, it wasn't the record company.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't my record company. No. They don't care about that. Who wrote the song? Why would they care about that? You know, I just had to give them credit, but they said, no, not the record company. No, his representative said that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Nothing to do with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, getting back to you, though,
yeah,
the album This Way Up, there's 2 songs on there that I think are just beckoning for a real country artist to do. Can you guess which 2 I'm talking about?
No.
Angels Like Us.
Oh, yeah, Angels. Yeah.
And tell me, I think both those tracks
Yeah.
are easily, could be done as a straightforward country song.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Angels is almost, it's like a rockabilly country song.
Right, exactly.
But Tell Me is a country song. I mean,
what was your inspiration on those to go with, something in that vein?
Well, you get ideas for songs, and they are what they are, and that's all I can tell you about it. I've got no bones with country music. I love country music, you know what I mean? So, it was nothing. I didn't do it on purpose. It was just, this is how the song goes, and I love the idea. The idea of that lyric, just this once, tell me I'm in love with you. I love that idea, you want the girl to tell you that she loves you, so.
Well, I took it as kind of you paying homage to, your influences, your early influences.
Well, you are in every song you write. Every single songwriter in every song they write is paying homage to the influences before him. He knows where he got the song. He knows what it reminds him of, you know what I mean? And they all remind you of something. And right. you deliberately, when you're writing songs, you're trying to write original melody. You're trying to write an original thought in those lyrics. You don't always achieve it, but a lot of the time you do. It might just be a nuance, We always say when you get an idea for a song, you've got to record it right away because the nuances will disappear and it'll become like the other songs that it's kind of like. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the differences are minuscule, but they're differences. And they're your differences. So that's all I can tell you about those songs. I don't think I've ever done one with the idea of like, oh, this is a Bob Dylan song. I'd like to do it like that. Or this is... a Chuck Berry song, I want to do it like that. You know what I mean? You just do them the way they are, and generally they turn out okay.
Exactly. Well, tell me this, Joey. We covered a lot of ground in this episode of the show. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you think that we missed on?
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot of it. I don't think we could ever cover everything. We'd be on all day, wouldn't we? But you talk about these things. We can only talk about snippets of them.
Right.
I'm going to write a book. I'm just going to be meeting with an author from St. Paul next week, actually, and sit down and talk to her about a book. The Joey Molland story kind of book. I've written one with a journalist before, Came out a few years ago, but that's really like a printing of an interview that I did. There were legal problems going on with the Hammer State and their representatives. They didn't want me saying things about this or that, But anyway, I'm going to tell a book now. I'm going to tell a story. So, I hope the kids are all grown up. You know what I mean? So,
I'll tell you what, Joey. When the book comes out, you'll have to come back.
All right, will do. Maybe you'll be slagging me by then. What did you write that for?
All right, Joey. Thank you very much. Appreciate you taking your time out to join us here on Music Night at the Majestic, everybody. We've had Joey's Facebook and Instagram accounts going across the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So we'll have that posted along with the video when we post this on our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and musicnight.net.
Woo!
So until then, Joey, thank you and have a good night.
See you next time, everybody. Enjoy.
This has been Music Night at the Majestic with Michael Boswell. If you enjoyed this edition of Music Night at the Majestic, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and at musicnight.net. Music Night at the Majestic is a copyright production of Starliner Media. Any use of the accounts and descriptions of this program, its audio or visual content, without the express written consent of Starliner Media is prohibited. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time for Music Night at the Majestic. This is your announcer speaking. Starliner Media.